Welcome back to the Brand Ambassador series. This is Mastersons. It's sort of new.
Very new. We released it about a year ago.
And August is here to tell us about it.
Yes.
August, Augusto?
August, or
August.
Og.
Or Og.
Og, yeah.
Og, can you please tell us about this beautiful bowl? I saw quite a few reviews already in the special magazines.
Yeah.
What is it?
I'd be happy to. Masterson's Rye Whiskey, 100% straight rye. It's a Canadian rye. It's aged in American oak for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a lot of the wood characteristics that we're very, very proud to release. Masterson's, named for Bat Masterson, gunslinger from the Wild West. Actually, friends with Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday.
Right.
A man man of great character. Retired, actually, moved to New York and was a sports writer, interestingly enough.
Huh.
And that's why you see a lot of our packaging kind of invokes old classic newsprint.
Yeah.
The man died at his typewriter, interestingly enough. So.
So what? He used to make whiskey. He used to drink whiskey.
He used to drink whiskey, and that's one thing. The Wild West, whiskey was a large part of the saloon culture, and I wanted to have a brand that really invoked that culture and that feel. And
so you're the creator
of the brand.
Right.
We actually sourced the whiskey from a distillery up in Alberta Distillers.
Right.
And they've done a fine job with our product, and we actually are introducing soon a line extension that will be a barley whiskey and a wheat whiskey as well. So in our Mastersons label, all of them will be aged 8 or 10 years,
mm-hmm.
and we'll have the rye whiskey, we'll have the barley whiskey, and we'll have the wheat whiskey, which will allow us to have a bit of a library, which is kind of a cool way to do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, but you just woke up one day and said, I want to have my whiskey brand?
I have to say, I've always been interested in spirits, always been fascinated in the business, grew up in wine, actually.
Okay.
My family's been in the wine business for, 100 plus years.
Where about? On the West Coast?
In Sonoma, California, just north of San Francisco by
Right.
about an hour. Sebastiani Vineyards. My family sold the Sebastiani brand about 4 years ago.
Quite well known.
No, thank you. And, big shoes to fill for my grandfather, my dad, my great-grandfather before them. And I started a small wine company and a spirits division of that wine company. The spirits division is 35 Maple Street. And our Masterson's Rye Whiskey, we also feature a botanical gin. And we'll have extensions of that gin as well, a flavored gin offering. And we've been talking about, in fact, we'll be bottling shortly a Dominican rum.
All right.
That will be 8 years barrel aged from Santiago.
Interesting.
And very, very proud to be bringing that to market as well. And like I said, we'll be releasing that in the coming months.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But does that mean that you started with this brand on the West Coast and little by little you brought it to the East Coast?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We like I said, always been fascinated in spirits, and candidly, from a business perspective, the margin in spirits is much more attractive than the margin in wine. Wine's much more competitive.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like about spirits is brand equity is much stronger. And I'm sorry to be getting into the business world, but
that's all right. That's a big part of it.
It's absolutely a big part of it. And how often do people go into a bar and they ask for their Jack and Coke, or they ask for, their 7 and 7. But when people go into a restaurant, they sit down and say, just bring me a glass of the house Chardonnay or a glass of the house Merlot. We want that brand recognition that lives in the spirit world and spirits world.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to drive that through our brand Mastersons, Uncle Val's, our botanical gin,
mm-hmm.
and Kirk and Sweeney, which is our Dominican rum.
Mm.
So, like I said, Mastersons has been a bit of a labor of love. We've been in market for about a year since we released the brand, a little more than a year since we released the brand. We've been very, very happy with the results.
I trust, because it's far from being bad.
No, thank you for saying so.
But let's double check on that.
Yeah, let's do that. May I?
Please. as long as you accompany me.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you have some as well. Thank you.
You bet.
But what did you have in mind when you decided to seek that rye whiskey? You said, I want some rye like Jim Beam rye. I want some rye like some of the ryes you can find in Indiana. Or did you have one profile in mind, or you said?
We did. And actually, it wasn't as specific as a particular brand. Mm-hmm. What we did was we set out and met with mixologists and met with folks in the food trade to figure out what mixologists are looking for in a rye specifically.
Right.
And they wanted heat and they wanted spice.
Right.
And I think that we've put together a blend here that really accurately achieves both.
It's true that the bartenders now, well, the mixologists, because
The bark something exactly.
they got fancy. Now want the rye whiskey because it shines through the cocktail.
It does, absolutely.
So this is, can we say, are we safe saying that this is a rye whiskey that was born out of will to satisfy the mixology?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very good.
You know, oftentimes in business, you know, you find a niche in the marketplace, whether it's via price point or whether it's from a brand design standpoint. But what we did is we went and found a flavor profile niche that we could fill. We knew that brown spirits in general are growing like crazy, very much a growth category. And within them, as a small micro category, is rye, and exploding. And I can't speak to the New York marketplace. I spend a lot more time in my backyard in San Francisco. And when I go to bars and restaurants and bottle shops in San Francisco, they tell us, you know, as soon as we get rye, it's sold through, and it's, you know, moving very, very quickly. Right. So to say that Jim Beam rye obviously is there, and I don't mean to, you know, sound critical, but, you know, we wanted to be upmarket. Our Mastersons retails nationally for $80 or $85. And so we tried to...
This is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And we tried to put together a product that would evoke and allow people to feel comfortable paying such a premium.
But then, let's taste it.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.
And cinnamon and molasses. And the spice.
It is big indeed.
A lot of wood.
Yep.
Like I said, American oak for 10 years.
And charred new oak.
Yes. Yes. I believe it's a mild toast, but not, so it's not over the top.
But then you're a businessman.
Yes.
You come from the wine business.
Yes.
Why didn't you just decide to use some maybe overcrop of the wine, of the grape juice, and distill and make some brandy? Or why didn't you decide to get to make an Irish whiskey style? Because the Irish whiskey category is growing like crazy also.
Absolutely.
Rye has become very important, of course, but you could have made brandy too.
Yeah, and that was something that we considered. As I said, we did a lot of market research, and we found out that rye specifically was a hot category. Right. Not to get away from the success of the Irish whiskeys or the brandies of the world. With regards to our wine business, we are a pure negociant, and so we don't own any vineyard real estate. We actually do a limited amount of fruit handling. In fact, this year we're doing a estate Pinot Noir and an estate Chardonnay, but that's a very, very small percentage of the overall business. Most of what we do is buying and blending bulk wine and package it and sell it. And this isn't too far from that. I mean, we went out and we tasted blends of rye all over the place. Thank you for saying so.
You got the right.
We searched high and low. One thing that I would love to do, I can't find any, I would love to do a Scotch. I think that, you know, I happen to be a Scotch drinker and a peaty Scotch drinker at that.
This is a very hot category and subcategory. And
of course.
I think the Scots like to keep it to themselves
they
now, or at least make the buck on their own. Well.
And good for them that they are.
If we go to Sonoma.
Yes.
Do you have a bottling plant, or does it come already?
We bottle it.
So people can come in.
But not in Sonoma.
Right.
You know, it's distilled, like I said, in Calgary, in Alberta Calgary specifically in Alberta. We bring it down actually to Southern California, where we have it hand labeled, hand numbered. We actually also have a barrel program. Some folks are able to you know, do a 32 case buy, and we wrap it around a barrel, and
nice.
It allows it to be individually numbered for your particular account or event. if you're doing a bachelor party or whatever else, we can figure out a way to make that work. And
That sounds
it
fun.
seems to be a pretty popular way
Great
to do
memories,
things.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what about the rye itself? Is it sourced, just the rye is coming from Canada?
Yes.
And right from around that?
Yes. Now, we actually received a little bit of pushback in the marketplace with regards to a Canadian rye as opposed to an American rye.
All right.
And that's because the American restrictions on rye require at least 50% of your mash to be rye. In Canada, there is no limit at all, which is why we made it very, very clear on the packaging, all of our point of sale items, that it is in fact a 100% straight rye. So we're very proud of its purity, very proud of the flavor profile in a Manhattan, frankly, second to none from my book, or an old fashioned as well. It's quite a delicious offering.
Well, you know what to try now.
There you go. And cheers.
August, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot
much.
for this edition on the market, on the whiskey market.
Absolutely.
This is very nice.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Yes.